Questions, and answers. Part 2, question and answer response video. You guys are generals of horror and or movie-isms. Thank you for taking part in the initial Q&A video I did recently. So without further delay, we're going to dive right in. Let's get a brew. We're going to go for part 2. Try not to leave anybody out. Let's see what looks good today. What we got here? Blah, blah, blah. We got a Keystone Light big boy can. Let's try to get on this thing and see what we got here. Next question in line here is from QR Huggies. What good music can you recommend, especially that 80s synth music you like listening to? Well, thank you for noticing that. I do like some synth 80s style music. I'm just a sucker for it. It's the era I grew up in. But before we get too far into that, here's Keystone Light. Here's to you guys. Rock on. You gotta watch out for these big cans, man. They tend to spill. You don't want to do that in sacred man cave. Watery but light and refreshing. Okay, just some bands that popped to my mind. These aren't necessarily my favorites or anything, but in the style of 80s music, a good place to start would be like bands like, what's the name of it? You could go with anything that has like a synth track to it. I usually tell people to start with like movie soundtracks. I mean, one that comes to mind is John Carpenter's soundtracks. You know, anything from his late 70s, early 80s stuff. If you like that type of that music, it kind of radiate outward from that. Don't be afraid of doing like a YouTube search. That's where I find most of my music, I should say. Is I'll just put in like one artist and like all the other associated ones on the other side. I keep clicking from this one to that one and just finding different modes of music. Some of the ones on YouTube that I listen to quite on a regular basis. Now, what is the name of that one? Let me find it real quick, guys. Electric Youth. Not the Debbie Gibson song, mind you, but Electric Youth is a good little band from Canada, of all places. And they do music that's synth-based a lot of times and in the style of 80s music. Google them. YouTube them. Electric Youth. They're a pretty good one to start with. Check out the new John Carpenter album, the Lost Themes, or whatever it is. It's not actually themes from from music he didn't use in his old movies. Really what it is a collection of music tracks that John Carpenter and his son, Cody Carpenter, have got together and made over a period of time. And then they just kind of put together about 14 or 15 tracks, I think it is, or remix and all these other tracks. Pretty good listen. I've got it on the jukebox over there, and I listened to it a couple of times so far. Pardon me, needed that. Moving on. If you could bring a movie star back from the dead, who would you bring back? Oh man, that's a toughie right there. Who would you bring back? Definitely the one that pops to mind right off the top from recent years is Robin Williams. I think he just before his time. I mean, he had so much more to give. I think. All problems aside, I think he's just one of those guys. I'm sad to hear that he's gone, man. I just couldn't believe it. Another one in the comedy realm would be John Belushi, way before his time. I often think about what the comedy realm would have been like through the 80s, because he just got started in the 80s and then he passed away. If he hadn't got strung out on all the substance abuse and basically had stayed the path and had a career. I think a lot of times my gut tells me that John Belushi's career would have been a lot like Robin Williams, where he was going to be dabbling in actor roles that had comedy in it rather than the reverse. That's the one that kind of comes to mind. What are your opinions on 4K technology? Well, 4K technology, I say if it looks good, use it. I'm still rocking the little 1080p 32-inch here in the man cave. I'm just the guy that I use things till it crooks. I mean, literally, that's the only way you're going to ever get your money out of anything today. Vacuums are disposable. TVs are disposable. That's why there's no repair shops around anymore. Cars are getting that way to some degree because you can't really interchange engines as well as you could back in the day. But yeah, that's just the way 4K, great. I mean, if it's affordable, I only buy something when it becomes affordable anyway. So whenever it becomes the norm, yeah, I might watch it if it looks good. I do think 4K will be more of a streaming kind of thing. It's not going to be a physical media I really don't. I really think Blu-ray is going to be one of the last physical medias that's being mass produced. There, I'll say it that way. Now I'll probably be wrong next week. And I have 4K discs everywhere on the shelves. What does B Senior think B Juniors think about? I guess he's saying, what does B Senior think about B Junior's movie obsession? Well, my father's a lot like me, but his obsessions are a little different. He has a man cave, but his man cave is kind of one of the man caves that's out in the garage. He's more of a tool guy. He's out in the garage always tinkering with welding and all these other things and fixing. And if it ain't broke, you can probably still fix it kind of attitude. Yeah. Dad's all into the guns and the weapons and stuff. That's part of his man cave realm. But every man cave doesn't have to be the same. You could have a sports-based man cave, a game room man cave. I've seen arcades in people's houses before. Literally, stand-up, old-school 80s arcade games. Mine is kind of like a movie cave slash miniature bar beer cave. Yeah, thing. Yeah, whatever. But B Senior totally supports the man cave. He has a beer fridge. Mine is a modest, small beer fridge down here. His is a big old fridge out in his garage. So we respect the man cave and the fortress of solitude therein. Good questions. All right, moving on. Holiday Styles. By the way, Holiday Styles, you got the most excellent clip art pic on YouTube right now. Sam Jackson as he turns around doing the thing in Pulp Fiction. Love it. Fave beer, fave whiskey, fave Elm Street movie. Well, that's a good three-parter, short to the point. Beer is kind of the mode of drink that I like nowadays. There's so many different beers, so many craft brews, so many regular everyday domestic brews. I would say if you're gonna put it in if you're gonna really narrow it down to one, I would say my favorite all around just go to beer is a toss up between Miller High Life. Uh, yeah, probably Miller High Life. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that as far as domestic. I don't really have a favorite craft brew. I do like the Blue Moon line of brew, and some Sam Adams stuff, and there's been other just off the wall name kind of stuff that's pretty good. If I'm gonna drink everyday, just kind of light beer, any one of them will do. Like Miller Lite, Keystone Light was on sale I got two of these big cans for $2 the other day. I mean, you do the math on that; it's cheap, and it's not too bad tasting. So there's not. I mean, there's a few domestic ones that I cannot swallow. Pardon me. Like Milwaukee's Best Light, still to this day tastes like an aluminum can. Like somebody ground up an aluminum can and threw it right into the sauce, and you're drinking. Now to its defense, Milwaukee's Best Ice, good brew. Just like Keystone Ice, good brew. I don't know too much about Keystone Premium. Now I'm getting off on a tangent about beer. But yes, Miller High Life, probably favorite all around, just kind of go to beer. I'll just say it that way. Let's see, fave whiskey. Don't really drink the whiskey anymore. I've kind of weaned myself off of that stuff. But if I ever had to choose one, in terms of whiskey or bourbon, I'd probably go with just kind of an everyday Evan Williams mid-shelf Kentucky bourbon. It's kind of what I gravitated to back in the day. Evan Williams is good. Of course, Jack Daniels. I prefer Gentleman Jack. Don't really have a lot of money for that kind of thing, but Gentleman Jack's better than regular Jack Daniels. Crown Royal, any kind of Crown Royal, especially the Special Reserve. That's kind of more the top shelf end, but that's kind of what I gravitated towards. Good questions. Favorite Elm Street movie? There's two categories to that. That's a good one all in of itself. You guys are pros with these questions, man. I got to give it up to you guys. Rock on. Ah, favorite Elm Street movie has always been in two different categories for me. My favorite ones is a coin toss between the original and part three. Those are the two best ones in the whole entire series, in my opinion. Best made, best enjoyment, everything. Now, what are the ones that B Junior just goes to the most? Just for everyday viewing or late night can't sleep. Part two and part four coin toss. They're just more of the kind of ramshackle, rushed into production, just but still enjoyable movies. Kind of like part five, Friday Five. Probably one of my top three that I've loved since childhood, and I still will, still champion it always. By the way, watch the Sausage Factory this Friday. Going to have a live commentary. Check it out. So, yeah, Got to say, two different categories: coin toss between 1 and 3 for the most favorite, most well done one, but only watching on like occasion for Halloween or whatnot. But go to every day is a coin toss between 2 and 4. Rock on. Let's see. Let's go down the line here a little bit. Let's get some nuts. Let's see. Mr. Snickers 21 writes in and says, "What is your favorite topping on pizza? Who makes the best pizza in your area that you love?" Well, honestly, there's a couple little no-name restaurants in the local area. Mom and pop places make pretty good pizza. But if you're talking like regular domestic, kind of what everybody eats kind of deal, I'm probably going to roll with, honestly, favorite best pizza in the area. I mean, as far as regular, everyday kind of chains is Pizza Hut. They do the best job locally. Favorite topping on pizza? Usually, nowadays, I just like a regular cheese pizza. If I put anything on it, usually it's going to be some kind of a vegetable of some kind. I've gotten away from the meats on pizzas. I don't like all the extra grease, man. So it's usually going to be some kind of an onion or something like that, or just something light. That's kind of the way I roll. I might dabble in putting a little bit of bacos or real bacon bits on it or something like that. Just the way I roll. Good question though. Gonna let my dog eat my nuts. Good stuff. Get out, dog. I'm on a video. Go away. Nothing but the most professional videos here on Endurance Productions. My boy Tim McNutt, Jason Freddy writes in. Hope to see you at Mad Monster Party, dude. End of the month, March. Be there or be square. Calling you out. Calling you out. Let's see. Jason Freddy writes in and says, "Can we drink a cold beer at Mad Monster Party?" Hey, there you go. Hey, here's to you guys. Clink. It shall be done. I will be there at least on Saturday if everything goes right. Maybe 2 days. Don't know yet. We'll see how it rolls. But a little strapped for cash this year, but I'm going to make it happen. I didn't make it there last year. We had some family business to take care of, and sadly we couldn't come. But this year we're going to try to make it happen. So pray nothing, keep fingers crossed, nothing happens. Rock on. It shall be a cold beer. You select it, guy. Line up the cerveza, we'll knock it back. Rock on. Let's see. Man, these multi-part ones, man. Look at these guys. Let's see. We got Lord B.L. Thackeray. He's got a 4-parter here, guys. What are we doing on time here? We got 12 to 13 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Lord B.L. Thackeray writes in and says, "Who's your favorite to least actor to play James Bond?" Okay, good one. I could probably go right off the top of my head. Now, when I was younger, it was always Roger Moore. It was the favorite. And when I got older, I started appreciating Sean Connery. But then I even started really liking Pierce Brosnan through my college years and all those years in the military and everything. And Daniel Craig has even been surprisingly decent. And I like them all. I even thought George Lazenby's Honor of Majesty's Secret Service, whatever, he was thoroughly just kind of, you could tell he was just not really knowing where he was at in the movie, but I think he did a good job action-wise. Timothy Dalton had one good one and one not so good one. So there you go. That's kind of the way it breaks down. In terms of, I don't know, best to least, I would probably have to roll with I would say a coin toss between Sean and Daniel Craig for best, and then a close second will be Roger Moore and Roger Moore and, well, no, I'm going to go nowadays. I'd probably say Sean Connery, at the coin toss between Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig, then Roger Moore, then Timothy Dalton, then George Lazenby. Boom. There you go. How about that? Favorite James Bond villain? I always liked the more subtle Bond villains. The comical ones in the 70s and stuff were pretty fun and everything. Dr. No and all that with the mechanical hands and all that stuff. They've been spoofed by Austin Powers and all that stuff. Blofeld's, real popular for the old school, and these newer ones, the Chief and Casino Royale was a formidable one. I always kind of liked the more subtle ones, the ones that were just kind of like not so much cartoonish, but just ones that could happen. Like GoldenEye. the one that was played by his name escapes me. Right, Sean Bean, I think his name is. He was kind of like the doppelganger to James Bond in GoldenEye. You know, you got the good James Bond, you got the bad James Bond. One went one way, one went the other way after the explosion. So I kind of like that kind of, just kind of that could happen. A rogue agent. Um, I like some of the Roger Moore villains pretty good. Not so much the '70s one. I really think Christopher Walken did a really good comical but yet really good job as a cold kind of manufactured genetic manufactured man megalomaniac in A View to a Kill. Okay, now it's not everybody's favorite one or everything. I know Roger Moore was showing his age by that time, but I really like Christopher Walken in that one. So there's a bunch of them. I mean, I like the more subtle villains myself. General Gogol is the kind of the Russian guy that shows up in a lot of movies. I kind of liked his kind of backseat villain, kind of like him too. All right, favorite Bond movie and why? God, this guy's he must be a really high tech Bond film fan. We're gonna give it to you tonight. All the goods. Here we go. Let's see. Favorite Bond movie and why? I have a bunch of favorites, but there's a few really go-to ones that I just reach for all the time. Gonna make everybody sad, but I have to break it up by Bonds, especially for Connery and Moore, because they had so many times they played Bond. I got to go with Fear. One I go for a lot is For Your Eyes Only. It's not the probably the most favorite of anybody's, but it's kind of like a return to form for Roger Moore, where he got out of the comical kind of stuff from the '70s and got more into just the bare bones approach to Bond. It went back to its roots a lot. I really like that For Your Eyes Only for that reason. I find myself watching GoldenEye a lot because of the high action factor in that one. It was kind of like a resurgence of James Bond. I really, and they had the, cause of course they had the video game. It was just like Bond was back kind of feeling. In terms of Sean Connery, another really one that I find myself watching a lot. A lot of people just go straight to Goldfinger or Thunderball or something like that. I honestly go from Russia with Love. I really like that one. I mean, I think it's one of the most highly underrated Bond films ever made. I mean, you got what is it, Robert Shaw playing the bad guy in that one, changing his voice in the film, and the hand to hand combat on the train, the fight scene there. Yeah, love that movie. Good flick, good flick, good flick. When at the cinema, do you always get some idiot behind you who always kicks the back of your seat, and how do you deal with them? Well, I just covered that in the first video. Go back and watch the first video, and you see how I deal with it. Is usually I just kind of I'm a polite guy. I get up, excuse myself, and I go up front. And see, this is why I hate it why it happens anyways, because you yourself miss out on the movie. You have to go up and report it to the manager like some tattletale in junior high. They have to come in. They're going to know exactly who told them. So the kids, if they don't ask them to leave, are going to just be even more raucous, more ruckus. But usually what I try to do first is I try to just get up, go to the bathroom, act like I'm going to the bathroom, go in from the other side, find me another seat. That's what I try first. If they keep being rowdy, if they move and keep doing the goofball stuff, then I'll go report to the manager. That's usually what I do. I mean, I just keep it simple. I don't give up and walk out, man. I don't leave the movie just for somebody kicking my seat. Keep up the great work. Thank you, sir. Thank you, BL. Thanks for writing in. How Bizarre writes in and says, "What is your opinion on short films, and do you ever watch them from YouTube horror channels?" Let's see. My thoughts on short films is that they're a good springboard. They're a good springboard for kind of like a resume or portfolio to take and try to get funding and or support for other bigger projects. My buddy Strebo over at Mutantville.com does a lot of short films, and he's involved in a lot of movie projects. And it's been a while since I checked in with him. I hope to see him at Mad Monster Party. But it's really fascinating how, if they're done right, I really enjoy them. But now, if they're just somebody playing around with the camera that really shouldn't be doing it, no, I don't think they're a great thing. But where you can find most of your best short films can be watched on YouTube, the internet. You go to horror conventions, pop culture conventions. A lot of times you can see some good work there. I think if the work is sound and if people want to invest their time and money in it to make it a bigger project, that's where some of the best projects in history have come from. I mean, they've spawned from. Yes, I think they're a good thing, but for private means primarily to get a springboard to go to other projects. If that makes any sense. Let's see. Charlie Chalk writes in, "Hi, B Jr. If you could design the ultimate man cave, what would you have in it?" That is an excellent question. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was watching some kind of man caves TV show, but it really gave me an idea. I'm a big fan of as I said in the first response video, we're big fans of the movie Clue and the board game Clue. Secret Passage. If I could just tilt this poster back here and the wall moved, I go in through the secret passage, go down to the fridge in the kitchen, get a snack, come back up, come back through the wall, through a painting in the wall or something. Secret Passage man cave. That would be the most ultimate man cave. Like Haunted Mansion man cave that had secret passages in it to other parts of the room where you could go around the other side of the room and scare people or something like that. That is the most awesome idea for a man cave. Will I ever have that? I like to dream, so dream it, you dreamers. Excellent question. I actually saw that Man Cave show where a guy he loved Batman so much, he had a bat cave. My man had rock walls, fake rock walls. He did the whole bookshelf thing. Thing opened up kind of like the secret passage for Clue, but mine would be more like a murder mystery mansion kind of thing. Theirs would be like, this guy was like, the wall moved and he went down to the bat cave. He had a bat cave. Excellent question. Let's see. We've got to round this up probably for another video, guys. Let's see, how are we doing on time? 22 minutes. Let's this last question in this video, then we'll skip to another part. So here we go. Matador 5446 writes in and says, "What are your top 3 favorite westerns? If you had to make a movie but didn't know what genre or what it was about and had to pick 5 actors up front, who would they be? Kind of like a 48-hour film challenge where you don't know the premise until Friday afternoon. And thirdly, did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone?" Okay, here we go. 3 favorite top westerns. I can tell you probably the 3 that I probably go to the most. They're not necessarily the favorites of all time, but undoubtedly they have a place in the world of westerns, and they're good rewatchability, so forth. I'm going to try to do this fair, have an American and a spaghetti western, in there as well. I would say spaghetti western it's always going to be a toss up between Once Upon a Time in the West and or Django, the original with Franco Nero, something like that for spaghetti western. Maybe The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but I've watched that so much over the years. Okay. I also like For a Few Dollars More really well. I mean, that's a really about the bounty hunters in the Old West. I really enjoy that one. Okay, another good one for the top 3 would be Outlaw Josie Wales with Clint Eastwood. Watch that one a lot. Really love it. Unforgiven is good, but it's in my top 5, maybe not my top 3. As far as westerns go, it'd be a shame not to put a John Wayne in there, but I was always more of a Clint Eastwood kind of fan. I'm going to go with High Plains Drifter. I don't know why. That's probably one of the first westerns I ever watched of Clint Eastwood's, and it's one of his first directorial efforts too. And everything was really raw, and you see a lot of his persona that comes out in the characters in the movie. And there's a supernatural effort in the movie, or a supernatural angle in the movie too. So it kind of got reused in Pale Rider, but yeah, that's some options for you there. Okay, talking about the 48-hour film challenge, what would the 5 actors be up front? Crispin Glover, got to get him in there for weird factor. Action factor, probably it'll be interesting to see what Jean-Claude Van Damme would do in a movie right now. But I wouldn't let him do any action. I would try to challenge him to actually act. That's how crazy I would be in the 48-hour challenge. I'd be going balls to the wall trying to get him to do just anything against the norm or the code. Kurt Russell, he's kind of a shoe-in because he's kind of he's probably pound for pound my favorite actor. Got to get him in there. I would probably choose one of the nerd cast. I mean, probably Robert Carradine. Robert Carradine would be pretty funny in a movie, kind of as to mix it up, having a good nerdy character in there. But I wouldn't let him play a nerd. He would be the masculine kind of lead man in my movie. See, I would just be changing it up all over the place, trying to trip people out, challenging these actors, getting the best work out of them. Some good options. Max von Sydow. I think he's Danish, Swedish actor that was in The Exorcist. Flash Gordon and played Ming. Got to get him in there before he croaks. I really like to have him as the kind of like the older, more wiser person in my storyline. Looking around the man cave, I'm trying to think who would be other some good actors. Got to get some ladies in there. Adrienne Barbeau, probably have her in there for nostalgia. But I'd like to have a current girl in there as well. Probably have what's her name? Nomi Rapace. I'd probably have her in there just for the sheer fact that I'm still don't know how to take her. I mean, I've seen her in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Prometheus, and I think she's got good range. I think she would be good as one of the two main leads in the film. There you go. There's a few to pick from. Did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone? No. My humble opinion, there's too much evidence against it. And that's not even coming from the Oliver Stone movie, which I like, and I think it's very enjoyable. But I don't really think that's from one point of view. There's a good one. There's a good newer documentary on Netflix called I can't remember the exact title, but just search JFK documentaries on Netflix. There's one on there that kind of goes with this one. I think he's an ex-Secret Service man or somebody, an ex-policeman's point of view of. It was actually a Secret Service man and his point of view that accidentally shot Kennedy from behind in the trailing car. And yeah, it's very interesting and thought-provoking. I'm not saying that's what I totally believe, but no, I don't think he could not have acted alone. Now, did he land the shots? I think he shot at Kennedy, but I think there was other people and other things that happened that day that either got covered up and or yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. That's just me talking. Guys, I'm going to sum it up today. This has been part 2 of the Q&A response videos. There's going to be part 3 coming soon. Watch The Sausage Factory this coming Friday night for the ultimo cool Friday the 13th, part 5, A New Beginning, live commentary with Peter Brackey, author of Crystal Lake Memories. I'm going to totally pimp that out. So guys, just if you have time this Friday night and want to see it, it'll be up on Google Hangouts. Also, it'll be on the website after, or on the channel. If you don't catch it then, you can come back and watch it later. Rock on, dudes. Hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll catch you next time. Bye. You want to eat my nuts?